So welcome everyone to our webinar today. So we'll be taking a look at how we can cut your maintenance backlog with some automation, some notification, and some work order routing. Okay. This webinar, we've designed it by popular demand. Okay, so a lot of you have been now onboarded on Mobi and you want to push it to the next step, which is really how can we integrate with the rest of the Microsoft platform? How can we send, let's say, Teams message when a high priority request comes in? So if we take a look, well, I guess I'll start by introducing myself. Some of you who do not know me, I'm Ben Brusso. I'm a pre-sales consultant. I used to lead our consulting team before. Now I've made the jump to pre-sales. So you'll see me engaging with you through webinars. I'll join some meetings sometimes, but I've made the full jump to sales now. In a past life, I also used to be a digital transformation researcher. If you want to schedule a one-on-one, I'm still available. Okay, so you can just scan the QR code here, or if you have my contacts, feel free to send me an email or a LinkedIn message. Take a look at our agenda today. Okay. Like all of our webinars, we'll start with a few slides. Okay, so we'll take a little bit at the why. Why would you need to consider automation? Okay. Then we'll go through a live training. Okay, this should take about half the webinar today. So we'll take a look at the outcome, so the notification and the automation themselves, but we'll also take a look under the hood. So how can you get there? How can you build some of these workflows? We'll take a look at some of the KPIs and outcome you can expect out of that. And we'll close things up with a bit of a pilot plan for you guys. So if you want to achieve those notifications, what are your next steps? So, anyone here has some backlog problem, feel free to interact in the chat. Okay, but what I see with most of you or most of our client, okay, is that backlog is often more of a flow problem, not than an effort problem. Okay, so what I mean by flow is we're waiting for some approval, we're waiting for an asset to be available, communication channel can get broken down. Okay, so these are all problems that you can act on and you can solve. Okay? Rather than effort problem are often more challenging to fix, while flow problem we can tackle it immediately. So this stat here is a little disastrous, okay? About 45% of maintenance professional time would be spent retrieving work orders or document. I don't know if we have any French client or people on the call here, but we call it paperasse in French, okay? Essentially just means paperwork, the annoying one. I think most of tag clients would be for sure doing better than this 45%. Keep in mind, you guys are privileged to have a maintenance system integrated to your ERP. Okay, but we can push this to get better. Okay, so some of the typical things we see is requests wait for triage, you wait for approval, but sometimes a lot of the requests are very mundane and they could be approved right away, or they could be canceled right away as well. Okay. Sometimes ownership is unclear across shifts or team. Is this a millwright? Do we need the electricians to go first? And last but not least, missed notification creates avoidable delays, right? So the solution here is really to automate what we can automate, okay? And we see here wrench time typically ranges from 25 to 35%. Feel free, if you're not shy, put in the chat, what you think your average wrench time is. Okay, I would say most of the clients I've worked with would be transitioning over 50%. Okay, but I always like to have some of those stats from client, so feel free to communicate that to us. And here, what does good look like? Okay, so here we see a common benchmark target for backlog would be 2 to 4 weeks. Okay. What I see most of the time is more this third bullet point here, 4 to 6 weeks. Okay. And typically it suggests some problem in process or capacity. Sometimes some of you have seasonality, so that could also affect it. But I'm curious to see what's your situation. So what we'll get into today, okay, which is probably what you're all waiting for, okay, is what's our options when it comes to notification. Okay. Uh, so what we see the most would really be Outlook, Teams, or just SMS. Okay. And to get there, we need to essentially have an engine behind those notifications. Okay. So historically, if you've been on Tag for a while, we've been using Business Central workflows, very similar to purchase order approval workflows, but it has its fair share of limitation. Okay. And what we will be showing today will be notifications through Mobi Mentor. Okay. Power Automate is still a very robust option. I'm just looking at the names that we have on the call. I know some of you are leveraging Power Automate. You're successful with it. Okay. But there's some clear limitation between Power Automate and Mobi Mentor that I want to highlight today. Of course, the system of record behind this would be Tag. Okay. And all of the Tag data would be embedded in BC. Not throwing BC out of the door, but like I said, the workflow engine has its fair share of limitation. So the objective for today, okay, is I'll demonstrate how you can set up automated alerts and workflows, okay? How you can enhance those notifications with contextual information. So it could be fetching, let's say, an asset ID to give more context to a request approver, as an example. Okay? And we'll even take a look at how we can automate or facilitate some tasks. So by the end of the session, what's really important for you is I want you to be able to recognize opportunities. Everyone here on this call will have very different notification requirements or what they want to do. Okay. So hopefully in this 15-minute training, you'll be able to recognize some opportunities and we'll be able to talk about it together. All right, let's get into the training itself. So how I'll structure my training today is we'll start by just doing a very simplistic corrective maintenance workflow. So I'll create a request and then I'll approve this request, convert it into a work order, finish the work order. So it's going to be very fast paced from a workflow perspective. Okay. But what I'll do is I'll then share my screen in my Outlook and in my Teams, and you'll be able to see the notification at different points within this workflow. So let's say here we drill down on our asset structure and we create a request against our stamping system. Here what I'll do is I'll say that stamping we'll keep it simple. We'll just put a problem description. We'll flag this as a priority 1 work order. Okay, so keep that in mind. This will be very important. This will be part of my triggers for my workflow. And I'll say that I need it by today. Okay, so here we've created request 165. Now we'll just need to be patient for about a minute. Okay, and then I'll share my screen in my Teams. Okay, so really what I want to kind of trigger, I want you to have a light bulb moment now is every single implementation I've done so far in Mobi, the technician also had an Office 365 subscription, meaning that they would have Microsoft Outlook and they would have Microsoft Teams. Okay, but more often than not, okay, they're not really leveraging, right? I had an implementation, or we were doing some UAT, and then I sent them the password through emails, and I send the link to Mobi through emails, and one technician told me I've never opened my Outlook. Okay, so this is of course a lot of change management, but it can really turn itself into an opportunity. if I share my Teams here, okay, I have a channel and it's called Mobi notification. How I see this more in shape at clients, that this would be, maintenance notification or request notification. And you see here at 12:11, I have my request, okay, notification that comes here, and I have my title. I have my requesters John Doe, okay, and you see I have a link to my request, okay. So what I can do here is I can simply click on this request, and it will open directly the object or the document in Mobi, okay. So from here I could say, yes, this looks very important. We need to fix this right away, okay, and I could release a work order for this request. Okay? So the idea here is really, to cut the time. If you're only reviewing your requests once a day when you log in and you look at your dashboard, this is really changing the paradigm. You would have a notification, in one click, you can convert this into a work order. Let's take it further now. Let's close this this work order. Okay. And here, let's say we something. Yeah. Let's say I'll leave some notes here. I'll complete this work order. I'll create a follow-up work order as well, okay, because I've only done a temporary fix. I'll say that Ben Jackson did this, and we'll go and we'll add some time, okay? I'm going very quickly here, okay? If you're not a tag user yet, or you're not super familiar with the process of closing a work order, reach out to me. The goal of this session today is not, I'm going very quickly through this process. I want to highlight notification, but if you feel like it's going too fast, just schedule one-on-one time with me. It's going to be the best way to move forward. So here I'll just say that I spent 2 hours on this work order, and we'll close this. All right. So now I have a finished work order. Okay, probably making a world record time here on replacing a stamping head. Okay, but that's not the goal of today. What I'll do now is I'll go into my Outlook. Now we'll need to wait for about a minute, okay, and I'll get essentially a request completion notification. So that's been a gap, and it just came through. Okay, let me open this up, right? Okay, so you see here at 12:15, and some of you might know Fred, okay? It's not Fred actually sending me an email, it's just he's the one that set up the workflow for me. So his email will show, but a lot of clients would have something like maintenance at clientname.com to use as the sender. Okay, but what we see here, okay, is as a requester, okay, we're closing the feedback loop. Okay, so we're telling me, okay, that we've fixed the stamping system that was producing lots of defect. Okay. So a lot of you had that requirement where a requester would raise their request, and then they would be left in the dark, right? As the request been approved, has the request been completed, declined. So this is how you can build workflows, and they can get pretty sophisticated. You can display a whole lot of information on those emails. Now, if we take a look under the hood on how do we achieve those workflows, okay? We go under Mobi Mentor and we go under Workflows, okay? I have one here that's called when a priority one request comes in, send a message in a team channel, okay? So, okay, don't get too intimidated here. What we have is we have a trigger, okay? Which is whenever a request is created, we can put some filters in there, okay? And then we have 2 AI nodes, okay? And those AI nodes are essentially just a prompt, okay? And this prompt, it's a little small here. Let me zoom in there for you, okay? And really pay attention to the top 3 lines, okay? So here I'm telling this this AI model, okay, that you'll receive high priority requests and then you need to post them in a team channel, okay? And here I want to extract the request description, the equipment ID, and the requester field, okay? All that you see here at the bottom, okay, is really just formatting, okay? And don't get fooled, okay? Fred is not smart enough to format all of that. You can use AI to create the format based on natural language, saying, I want a bell icon, I want a green check mark, okay? So yeah, we're really in the matrix here using AI to configure AI nodes, but it's really the easiest way to do it. And then ultimately it goes into a notification box. Let me just edit this. It'll be easy to go in there. Okay. And this notification node is really the engine behind it. Okay. And all we need to do is pick up what's the notification type. Here it's Teams. Okay. And I need to specify the webhook. The webhook is essentially the which Teams channel do I want it to go into. So really, this would yield the notification that I showed here. Okay? So you see here the example of the format and what field gets displayed. So what's really cool is if you want to modify the format, all you have to do is to modify your prompt in Mobi right here. Okay, so compared to Power Automate, I think this is much more accessible if you want to DIY this, right? We'll talk a little bit more in the slide deck, but after a session or two, you'll be able to really have a base workflow that you can duplicate, and from there you can tweak, how the format should be or what the triggers or the filter should be. Same goes for our when a request is completed. Okay, when a request is completed, send an email to the requester. We have the same thing. We have a BC document trigger. This one would be on a finished work order. Okay, and here extract relevant information and craft an email. Okay, and here this would be my desired format of the email. And then last but not least would be our notification engine. This would point to an email instead of a Teams channel. All right, that was a mouthful. Okay, let's go back to our slide deck here. So really the outcome of having those notification is to reduce the time to assign, the time to acknowledge, okay? So to get quicker approval on requests, okay? And ultimately the outcome of that is to get increased range time, okay? Increase productivity, and then this will translate in your KPIs, reduce MTTR, and improve your backlog aging, okay? Now, if we push the idea further, okay? Some of you have already been experiencing AI agents within Mobi, and one of those agents is capable of reviewing work order backlog and also recommending or assigning technicians to work order. Okay, so we'll go back to Mobi. So I just go on my work orders here. And if I click on Mobi Mentor on the top left, just start a new chat. Okay, and this would be the planner and scheduler agent. Okay, and here I could say how many P1 work orders, or sorry, how many unassigned P1 work orders we have. So for those who are not familiar with what I'm showing now, okay, we have a set of specialized maintenance agents. The one I'm showing now is the planner and scheduler. It's the first time I'm showing this one in webinar, okay? But each of those agents essentially have very specialized prompts and specialized permission as of what table they're able to read or to even write into. Okay. So here, what this one will do here, okay, is it's going to find all of my priority one work order, okay, that would not have any technicians against them. Okay. So here I'm not doing super great. You know, I have about a dozen work orders. Okay, it's giving me recommendation. Okay, but it says, would you like me to help assign those to available technician? Okay, here I could say, yes, please suggest some assignments. So here what the agent will look, it'll read our personnel table. Okay. Made a mistake here, but it should, yeah. Okay. Come on, buddy. We'll get it. Isn't that Murphy's Law right there? Okay, for fifth time is going to be a strike. Okay, we'll give him a fifth one. Sometimes you just need a bit of pressure. Okay. I have a suspicion sometimes that our developers are on those webinars and they're kind of flipping the switch on and off. Okay. But something we could also do. Okay. I like to display all of the steps that the agent is doing. But if you look at ChatGPT, what they do is they just do the spinning wheel until they get it right. Okay. So that's what we can do as well. I like in demonstration to be transparent and show all the steps and all the ways the AI figured this out. But ultimately, this is the outcome I wanted. Okay, so here it's taking each work order and essentially assigning or suggesting a technician to assign to. Okay, so I see time's running, but what I want to here and here, I could say, you know, only assign the work orders for Sam. I will do others myself. And this agent here can also write to the assignment table. Okay. So here it'll update the work order and it will, there you go, assign Sam on that work order. Okay. So now if Sam were to have a notification whenever he's assigned to work order in his team, he could get a ping that he is assigned to work order 261. Okay. If we go back to my slide deck, right, of pushing the idea further, okay, you could connect those two building blocks, the notification, workflow, and the assignments. Okay, so an example that I had in mind was a client that operates a fleet told me, hey, every time we have a check engine request, this should be automatically approved and converted into a work order. Okay, so we could essentially add a prompt to our AI node to, you know, given those filters or condition, go straight to work order. Okay, and if you're ambitious enough, you could even have the scheduler agent dispatch this work order to someone. Okay, so essentially saving you the mental load of approving the request that would be approved whatsoever, okay, converting it into a work order and assigning it to someone. What I see, or I think where most organizations are, is really here. Okay, so supervisors to approve or override exactly what I showed here. So have the AI suggest me something and then I'll approve it. Okay. Here we have a few minutes for questions and answers. I don't know if we
Thanks so
got
much,
any.
Ben. Yes, hi. Thanks so much, Ben, for your presentation. Yeah, so we did have a few questions come in. So the first one is, what are the key criteria for evaluating whether a factory or workshop should implement automation and AI to support your maintenance team?
Yeah, well, I think some of the key criteria is really to evaluate, do you have some NVA activity that, or non-value added activities, but that you still need to do? These are very good candidates for AI automation. The business case I said of, every time we have a check engine request, we need to approve it whatsoever because we need someone to scan the asset and see what's going on. I think this would be a good criteria. Okay. Now, on the other end, okay, sometimes you need to challenge yourself a little bit more is some of the value add activity that we do, could we do them better with automation and AI? And I think this is also where you could get a whole lot of ROI. Okay. An example that I showed today was the assignment. Okay.
Thank you. The second question is, what is a typical or average ROI when using automation and AI for maintenance and manufacturing?
Yeah, that's a tricky question, and I'll give the most consulting answer ever, but it depends. Okay, if we go back to the first few slides I showed, right, of 45% of the time we spent is just retrieving work orders, you'll get very significant ROI implementing automation and AI. But if your processes are already in good shape, the ROI might be less significant, but the investment will be also less significant. Okay. If processes are well defined, it's very easy to get those notification and agents to be useful. Okay. So any case you have, that was really my goal of today's webinar, is to have some of you have a light bulb moment. If you did, reach out.
And the third question is, what kind of communication or flow would you like to automate out of mind?
Sorry, Jasmine, can you repeat the last part of the question?
Yeah.
Out
of mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the request approval is really a good start for everyone here. Another one would be also, and this one would be a little bit more challenging because it's across often different departments, but when a work order needs some parts, okay, most of you would be changing it to a status that says require PO, but then there's some sort of routine where the procurement team needs to go see that. We could do the same request or email request, right, based on some filters or urgency. Ping someone in a Teams channel that work order 5, we need to order this part right away.
And the final question we have are they choosing the tech based on skill sets?
Yes. So if we go back on our chat here. Okay. When it reads the personnel table, had a tough time here, but when it reads this personnel table, okay, it can also read the skills and certification. Okay. So if that's something that's new for people on the call, you can assign skill and certification to your personnel and to work orders. Okay. And the scheduling agent here will essentially reconcile, make sure that the right work order gets assigned to the right personnel.
Thank you so much. That's all the questions that we received today.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate everyone's time. Okay. I have some great news. I received a copy of our roadmap for 2026. Okay. So I'll need to discuss with my marketing team, but for our next webinar, I'd like to spare some time. Okay. So take a 5 or 10 minutes to review the webinar, review the roadmap with you. This way you can plan ahead, you can understand what feature will be coming out, and you can get ready, just be ahead of the curve to implement them. All right, appreciate everyone's time.